Good evening to you. This is the People's Bench, your number one show where we bring it the way it is without sugar coating. If it is white, we say it is white. If it is black, we say it is black. Tonight, we are coming to you live from Genz Hotel here in Riverside. You can see a very nice place. You know, we've decided to bring a Christmas and holiday within the city. A very nice place you can visit to have your coffee and just relax around. Now, this evening I'm privileged to be joined by one of the Gen Z leaders, Mr. Casmuel Mark Oure. You remember when we were having the Gen Z protest, and the year is now coming to an end. We're going to look at what was it that went right and what went wrong. Karibu sana, Casmuel. Now, tell me, are you a traitor? Are you Judas Iscariot, or you've just changed strategy?
That's an interesting question, because it's a question that I've faced, I think, over the span of the past 2 or so months with regards to my recent political affiliations. And as all of you know, I recently decided to join His Excellency Right Honorable Raila Odinga's party,
Yes.
the Orange Democratic Movement. And the move comes at a time after we were consistently asking what next. And you remember it came after the public participation at Bomas, when Rigathi Gachagua was being impeached. And that the whole process was a very interesting process to observe. So after that, there was a great misunderstanding. And for me, in terms of decision making, because the thing that got me here is being very resolute in my decisions, and calm in distress and very bold in danger. And first, I cannot be called a traitor because I was part of a leaderless movement. So if we're truly leaderless, I cannot betray you unless there was some expectation of leadership, which, according to just a proper analysis, there was a very deliberate effort to downplay the work I was doing, to curtail my efforts, to make caricatures. And I saw that because I was very clear in my mind. For me, the protests were not just an agitation. I was very clear that we are protesting to bring about a new political order in our country. And we might disagree on how to get there, but we have this shared goal that we need a renaissance in the country and politically. And for me, according to the analysis, looking at all possible instruments at my disposal, I decided that the Orange Democratic Movement would be the party that would have helped me to push that agenda. And I was looking specifically at a youth league, because if you think about all the successful revolutions here in Africa, they were driven by the youth. But then we need a political instrument and a political vehicle that has the ability to capture power. So for me, it's all strategy. And because there are people who are just agitating for the sake of agitation, there are people who are just expressing their frustration with the current regime. But for me, I was very clear that when I started, it was an agitation. And midway, I realized that I did not want to fall into the grant writing, the perpetual grant writing scheme that a lot of the people were running. And I said that the only way to bring about true change would be politically. And the moment I had that realization, I made it very clear that now for me, I want to pursue this from a political angle.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Tell me again, was the blood of the innocent Kenyans that was lost on the streets in vain?
First of all, I will always bear condolences for the families that lost their loved ones on the 25th, because it was as glorious as it was a day for our country. It also has its ramifications. Those lives that were lost needed not to be lost. And the blame lies squarely with the instruments of the state. The people who wielded the guns were not the civilians. The people who wielded the guns on that day were not the peaceful protesters. The people who wielded the guns on that day were not the progressive forces that were looking for change in the country. It was state officers. It was the police. And at that time, they obfuscated the line so badly that they were not even in regalia. So their claim that this could have been orchestrated by criminals is namby-pamby, in the sense that they violated their own codes at that time. And we will have to revisit as a nation the events of June as a month, June into July. Because for us to proceed, for us to forge ahead, we have to critically reconsider the organization of the state, the social contract we have with the instruments with the organ that we call the state.
And just holding it there, do you really believe that there will ever come a time when Kenyans who were murdered on the streets will ever find justice?
If I'm being honest, I do not think so. One police, I know tomorrow there's a case for Rex Masai in room 10 in Milimani.
Yes.
And
it started today?
Yes, it started today, and that policeman showed up. But where are the rest? We probably will never get the rest. And that's why I'm saying this is a systemic problem. And we needed to sort it out, not just by singling out these individuals. One, yes, ensure that we find them, because a numerous, overwhelming amount of evidence was presented online, but they're saying that that was not admissible in court. But again, if you see the actions of the people who wield power, they have not shown that they're interested in making concessions that would ensure that we have quick, fair, independent investigations into the deaths of our comrades. So justice will only be found once we bring about a new order in the state. And currently, as things stand, we might only get a few court rulings, but no court ruling, no amount of money can replace the lives that were lost on the 25th. So justice to me is not about families getting compensation. For me, that is, we are soothing an eternal balm because we do not know, an eternal wound, because we do not know the potential they might have achieved. And for me, it's rather painful that I will continue to fight from a side that is consistently disadvantaged, is consistently disenfranchised. And a few key leading elements are committed to keeping it that way because that's how they make money. And that disorganization and that obsession with foreign aid, that obsession with grant writing, that obsession with funding, instead of an obsession with true political change. Because the only way we bring these people to book is when we occupy parliament truly as legislators, when we occupy the executive and when we occupy the judiciary, so that we can bring these cases and all the cases of injustices, because no life is more special than the other. When will we find justice for the 70 who were killed last year?
So are you saying that Gen Zs should go back to the streets again to fight this government and fight for change?
What I am saying by occupying parliament is ensuring we become those legislators, get into elective politics. Because if we cannot get a bullet revolution, we must get a ballot revolution. But again, we are living through the consequences of emotional voting. If we are not careful and we are not diligent enough to want to wield these instruments of power, they will continue to fall in the hands of the wrong people. And we will continuously be bemoaning the people. Because, again, if we do not learn from the massacres that we have witnessed recently, we will make the same mistake in 2027. And what we're trying to do is ensure that, as young people, we present ourselves and offer ourselves up. It does not have to be me. But I'm urging young people to offer themselves up for leadership. And it does not, youth is not a qualification for leadership. It might be one of the many. But we're asking Kenyans of goodwill, Kenyans of good conduct, Kenyans of good repute to offer themselves up for leadership. But you know, good people stay away from politics because they understand how nasty it is. Yes. But we consistently say that for us to change this social contract that we have, because right now we're dealing with very many cases and they will not only stop because now we have cases of femicide, we have cases of abductions, and we're trying to figure that out. That has to be sorted from the very top. And if we do not reconsider our position on governance, on voting and the kind of leaders that we want, I do not think we will change much as a country. Yes.
Again, as President Ruto succeeded in dividing the Gen Zs, in politicizing a generation that stood together, a generation that knew no ethnic balkanization. You came in one group, but he has managed to scatter you. You are going back in 7 different directions.
I do not think so. I think what people think is a scattering, because remember, the movement was issue-based. It was not ideologically based. So we came and we conquered the finance bill. Then we wanted accountability and good governance, and we came and we conquered a whole cabinet. We went to the streets for very particular issues. Right now, there are several issues by several facets, but the national issues, if we find another national issue that we can galvanize and rally around, trust me, the people will march around it. So the ideology, people have just retreated to the ideological cliques and circles, but it's not that he has managed to ethnicize or politicize us. It's just that now people are finding their footing, because I am not, for example, a far leftist. I believe that for us to achieve the utopia that is desired by the far left, we have to progressively work towards that. Then there are people who are also on the far right, and there are people who are centrists, and we believe in different ideologies. But all of us, if we're fighting for a good Kenya, regardless of your ideological persuasion, we'll find ourselves converging at the best interest of the country. Excuse me, at the national and popular interest that will bring us together. So for me, it does not look as though we have managed to be divided, because also there's protest fatigue, and you cannot keep on doing that forever. You've seen lives get lost. I've seen my life flash before me, not once but severally. I've lost work, I've lost friends, I've lost property, but it is now we have to build our war chest. We have to find a political home, because for me, I'm thinking of this systemic change has to be brought politically. It can be brought socially, but one of the most effective ways to bring it about is politically. And if we want to say that he has successfully galvanized us, we would say that the people who are still in the CSO spaces have died down. No, they continue with the activism. Some of us have transitioned into mainstream politics. Some people have gone the civic education route. People are still doing the things they were doing. It's just that mainstream media coverage is not afforded to those exploits. But if we find a particular issue, we are still connected by the issues. We might differ on the ways, on the methodology, on the ideology, but we're still connected by the issues, which is the pursuit of a great Kenya.
Before joining the ODM, did the state try to buy you in whichever way or entice you? I mean, try to bribe you with the jobs?
I cannot lie. I was approached by several people with several offers. But at the time, no such thing mattered to me, because I believed that all of us were on the streets altruistically. And then I later came to realize that there are people who are there to mint money, because there are people who made a lot of money during the protests, and I would just be used as a poster child for the media. And I came to realize that there was a game that was being played. And now, knowing what I know, I understand that it is important for us to be at the decision-making table, because we might think we were the only people in the streets. And the characteristics of a revolution is you need what we had, a common issue that unites the population. You need a disgruntled majority. You need a disenfranchised or a dissenting elite. And then now you need state failure. All things which we are having, but we focused on the issues and the disgruntled majority, and forgot that there was a dissenting elite. And as time progresses, this will be revealed that there were various forces that were trying to take power that we were not interested in. So they used us to orchestrate an agitation for them to, the proverbial stirring of the waters, and then when the angel stirs the waters, and then they will jump and get healed. There are such forces that exist. The disgruntled, dissenting elite, which are the rich people trying to fund the failure of the state. And also, the state failed in delivering its mandate as far as the citizenry was concerned. So, with these factors at play, we might want to explore and if we are to achieve the things we did not achieve in the 25th, study deeply, understand how revolutions work, because that seismic shift, we brought that seismic shock, but we were issue-based and not grounded ideologically, because what revolutions normally achieve is a change in the form of governance. So people, for example, they will leave a monarchy into a republic, and you see what happened in Russia. They left that and established the first communist state in the world, and those kinds of things. So it is in the pursuit of ideological grounding, and this is where you would find people saying that, oh, you cannot be leaderless because you would need a leader. It would have orchestrated that fast, but I'm not panicked, because I've consistently said, who says that we are the ones to back the revolution? What if we are the people who are to usher in, to set the frameworks and to set the bedrock of the people who are actually going to bring the revolution? Yes.
Which way Gen Zs, we've seen Okia Mtata has come out, and some Gen Zs are trying to support him, telling him that you go, we will support you. Which way Gen Zs? We've also seen Morara, declaring his interest to vie. Which way should Gen Zs go?
I think anyone
should they join ODM?
I think anyone can declare presidential interest. I could declare presidential interest. You could declare presidential interest. However, the presidency is not a seat to be decided by euphoria. We have paid deeply the price of voting emotionally. So regardless of the candidate who's fit to lead will be a candidate of integrity, a candidate who has the country's best interests at heart, a candidate who has the capability, while balancing these, to convince the masses and to onboard the masses to the ideology. I have not yet seen the declaration of ODM, but I joined ODM because of their ideology. It's a leftist party, center-left, believes in democracy and egalitarianism and those ideals. We have not had that discussion in the party. So I will not allow to be distracted. Anyone can come up and talk about their declaration. But if you find a person who's of great integrity, a person who has the interests of the people at heart, a person who's interested in the economic transformation and revival of our country, then by all means, put the votes in that basket. So for me, talking about Gen Z, and remember, it's not just about a president. It's also about the kind of legislature that we have, a kind of judiciary we have. So in focusing around all these issues, for me, I've joined the Orange Democratic Movement specifically to revitalize the Youth League. And I don't necessarily have to be its leader, because a lot of people have speculated that that's what's going to happen. I'm here to revitalize it. And because I've seen that there's great potential for it, if I endear and I put it out there to entreat our dear listener and viewers to join the Orange Democratic Movement and come and help us to rebuild the youth movement. But if not, by Jove, let us join political parties and political movements to ensure that when the discussion that shapes the narrative of our country in 2027 is being had, we shall not be on the sidelines.
But Kasmuel, these political parties in Kenya are not founded on ideologies, and there seems to be no difference between them. Why do you think young people would find space in ODM?
There will be space. I am a young person and I have found space. And remember, I did not have a name prior to this. I did not have a lot of money prior to this. I had enough to keep me sustained and to keep me entertained. But I joined the Orange Democratic Movement from critical thinking, because I realized that they have the critical mass to bring about change in the country. They have the numbers, they have the proper organization and a network that spans throughout the country. My party leader, the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, is a very pragmatic man and he's very visionary. And at this point, he has a burden for the youth. And I'm joining his party because he has proven to be a nationalist, time without number. He has consistently put national interests beyond his personal interests. And there might be people who would want to debate this, but we could debate this of every other leader. I've not seen a politician in the country sustain a political career that spanned over 5 decades, which would have as transformative agendas as His Excellency Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. He has brought us the most judicial reforms with regards to election reforms. He's brought all sorts of transformations. But this is when I would tell people, for me, after an analysis of the people I saw on the streets, after the reaction I saw of the people, the political players, who at the time brought themselves to the conversation, I saw myself best fit and best placed to learn from Raila Amolo Odinga. And that's personally what I'm doing, and that's what I'm welcoming people to do. And all the people that we've met, we've always disseminated these ideas to ensure that we are in a movement that can be able to capture state power in 2027. It's indubitably the biggest party. Let's not even, I do not want to speak in hubris. I wanted to say in East and Central Africa, but let's just talk about in the country, the biggest, most organized party.
When did you realize this?
When I decided to take a political angle. Because remember, when I started, people said, do not form a political party. And they castigated a lot of young voices who wanted to form a political party. They castigated me, they castigated some young voices who went back to their regular lives. And some dubious characters showed up and defrauded Kenyans of their money and formed sham parties. and I can say this with proof much later, that there are several individualistic beings who in the morning they say down with American imperialism, and in the evening they want to go and have dinner. When people used to say Meg Whitman must go, and they used to go and want to have dinner at the ambassador's residencies, they want favors from her by night, and during the day they want to beat her and condemn her. They speak ill of the government in the day, and they want to be in bed with the government in the evening. And I said, I will take a very bold step. And the thing about me is I've never hidden my steps. Whenever I meet someone and I say this is what is happening, and after Bomas I said, I have joined the Orange Democratic Movement.
You have since joined the ODM that is currently working with the government under the broad-based government formation. Have you joined the same government that you were fighting a few months ago on the streets through the back door?
I see what you mean, but I haven't. It's very different because I don't have any state appointments.
ODM, your party, is in government.
It is not. And the tricky bit is 4 of its top officials join government. And you even see the party itself castigating them for some of the reckless statements that they have gone ahead to make to the public.
Yes.
That is not party position, because the party position is very clear that we sustain agitation for the advancement of pro-people rights. Even after certain utterances have been made by high-ranking members of the party, they've been brought to book within the party and by the party members themselves. So the element of a few disgruntled or dissenting elements within the party does not tarnish, because there's no perfect party. Even in there are disgruntlements even within the left. There are people who even are consistently working with this government. So they're still doing the role of checking and balancing. But for me, I cannot authoritatively speak about the mainstream agenda of the party. I can speak specifically about the youth. And I can say that we have a very rare chance to revitalize, re-energize this party and inject a new, fresh breed of intellectuals into the party. I have seen an opportunity and I've said I will take it. And I'm inviting and entreating several people to come and join us within the party. If you think that the party does not align with you ideologically, join another political party. But what we are saying is we must be at the decision-making table. This party, the Orange Democratic Movement, has shown a consistency in its ideal. It has shown a consistency in agitating for pro-people rights. And that's why I keep on saying that I have done an analysis. Every Kenyan is free to do the same and say, I am not comfortable joining the Orange Democratic Movement, you can join another party. But for me and for my friends, we have decided that we shall join the Orange Democratic Movement because it is the instrument we will use to capture state power in 2027.
Yes, you've talked of ideologies. And
Yes.
what we've known in this country is that political parties are formed around individual leaders, such that if today Raila Odinga decides, that is Baba, decides that he's joining the government, the masses will follow him to join government. If President Ruto decides that today he's working with Kalonzo Musyoka, that is the route they will take. If Gachagua, who is yet to come with his political party, decides to go back to the government, I mean, he will join. When will we reach such a time when we will be having proper and functioning political parties, I mean, to help us in championing for the real democracy that we've been yearning for?
I think the time is now. Yes.
And you think you have that space?
We do.
Other than Raila Odinga,
Yes.
the Baba,
Yes.
Baba.
Yes.
Have you really found it very rough with other luminaries within the party, maybe trying to box you here and there,
Actually
thinking
not.
that you are
I would
a threat
expect
to them?
I would expect such things to happen, and that's what I was told, that once you join the Orange Democratic Movement, that you will find a lot of opposition. The first person who I spoke to was the party chairman, Her Excellency the Governor of Homa Bay County, Gladys Wanga. I've talked to the deputy party leaders, Honorable Simba Arati, the Governor of, and Honorable Osotsi, and His Excellency Abdul Soman. You would expect that the space would be very hostile, but there has been an openness and a reception to the youth, which has been unexpected. I've not heard people say such about
Maybe
other
they're
parties.
just, sorry, forgive me
Yes.
for cutting you
No,
short.
go for it.
Maybe they have just done this to you because you were having huge numbers of Genzs behind you. How comes they have never given this space to other ODM youthful members who have been there for decades?
But they have. And you see, even in the grassroots elections, when there was a contestation, for example, and I don't know if I'm allowed to share this on air.
It's okay.
There was a contested election where people tried to tamper with the lists. And the party leader stated very categorically that that election should be done afresh. Normally, people would say that this party, you fix your own lists and you go and you go not. People were trying to kick out the youths who had been duly elected in the grassroots elections. And he went ahead and said, no, that election, let the will of the people be upheld. It cannot be that we keep on tampering with these processes.
Very good.
And this is not even, it's not limited to our party leader himself. I've seen such things spun through the entire party, at least the organs that I've met. Yes.
What do you make about Okiya Omtata's candidature?
I think Okiya Omtata is an upright man. I admire him. I've organized severally from his office. He has the interest of the country at heart, and I wish him the best. I hope that he can sustain it, and he's done his fair share
Yes.
for the country.
Yes.
I will not sit here and pretend that he has not, or try and water it down. I think he's an impeccable man, quite intelligent and very, very generous with information. When you sit down with Honorable Okiya Omtata, you leave there wiser, and you leave there more enriched and more refreshed. And he believes in open door policy, and I would wish him the best. I just hope that he can achieve the right strategy. I wish his team well. There could have been a few strategic decisions that he would have made, but again, that is to his discretion. And again, that is just an exploratory committee. I don't know. I don't think that would be maybe the final committee that we'll use, but regardless, I cannot speak too much of his campaign, because when I was interacting with him, I had not joined the NRA, which was his political party. It was just part of the political parties that were part of the umbrella organization that I used to be the spokesperson for. So I interacted with him as one of my members, and I had a good time with Senator Okiya Omtata.
Do you still believe that President Ruto is a one-term president?
I hope so. If we organize properly, we can get a change in government. But then, if he does the right thing for the country and he wants to contest again, it is his constitutional right for him to vie for a second term. He could vie for a second term, but if he continues in this particular trajectory that he's taking, it might be very difficult for him to secure a second term. Yes.
What will it take Gen Z, maybe as we are concluding this interview, what will it take them to come out of making noises on social media and take to the ballot? Because leaders are not elected on social media. They are actually elected on the ballots, and that is the place where they usually do not go to.
I think this time you will witness a seismic shift in the youth vote. In 2027, I believe the youth will turn out in such huge numbers. Social media is just a tool for mobilization and dissemination of information, but there will be a seismic shift. The person who will win the 2027 election shall not only have to court the youth vote, but have to give very clear and actionable points on what their idea and actionable plans for the youth bulge that we have in our country is very, very clear steps, because you know the country's median age is 19. On average, it's a very young country. So the person who's going to give us very clear steps, not just promises, very clear steps and direction on how we will deal, is a person who will clinch that seat.
Will be ready to give direction.
Yes.
What was your worst moment this year?
I think on the 8th of August, when there was an attempt on my life 4 times by the state, that was so crushing. I don't even think people making fun of it was as painful as that moment, because I also sustained some injuries. And that, and also remembering one time I met the families of the protesters. There have been a couple of similar proportions. And the day I went to Endarasha, when the children had succumbed to an inferno, that was also very heavy. And the fact that people politicized that really, really broke me. But then I realized that there's a facet of people who are just deranged, and they will want to make a joke out of everything or politicize everything. But that was heartbreaking, seeing how distraught and devastated the families of those boys were.
How was your parents like? I mean, during the trying moments when there was an attempt on your life, when you were arrested, were they scared?
You know, it is the burden of every parent to see their child safe. and they tried to ask me to take it a bit slow and dissuade me from it. But I'm a bit tough-headed. And eventually I'm happy that I got the privilege to get out of it alive. And it's something which I will continuously fight for. The betterment of our society, good accountability, good governance, fight on corruption. And even, I think, going forward, as our party leader clearly articulates it, when you sit down with Baba, when he does broad strokes, he just wants to sort out education, healthcare for the people, food security, and war on graft. I think those are some of the things that I would want to fight for our people, so that we can have the kind of liberation that we're looking for. At the very least, live basic, decent lives.
Your best moment in 2024?
I think it was a day I stopped. I'd been very wary of what the public thought about me. There's an interview I did, and suddenly just clicked that I've stopped pleasing the people. I've stopped living my life trying to prove to people that I'm something different than what I am. But also, I've had very high points. This one time, there's a child who walked up to me when I was in a mall and told me, "Thank you for maandamano." And sometimes my students, they meet me and they say, "Oh, sir, you're so cool. You're the maandamano guy and whatnot." What does it feel like? Just seeing the pride seeping through my students. That has been a highlight for me. Yes.
I think I must also say thank you for maandamano.
Oh, thank you.
I must say that.
Thank you for providing such a
not
platform.
Easy. And sometimes people may not believe in you, but the worst tragedy is when you do not believe in yourself.
Right.
Man, it's not easy to take to the streets, to challenge a government. It's not easy.
Right.
So what you people did, I think, on behalf of your elder brothers and on behalf of other Kenyans, you might have not been told this, is that we are very proud of you and we really appreciate you for that.
Thank you very much.
Where do you see yourself in the coming years? Don't you think one day you'll be president of this country?
I've thought about it, yes, but not as actively. And I don't think, I'm not thinking about it anything less than 15 years from today, because the presidency is not an easy job and youth is not the only qualification for presidency. And for me, I have to build the necessary network, the necessary understanding of what the country, the true country, how it needs to be run, necessary rapport with the people to see if I'm worthy of being a national leader. And if the people accept it, somewhere further down along the line, I might offer myself for leadership. Yes, but I'm not stuck up on it. If I can make change in my little corner as an MCA, as an MP.
Any plans in 2027?
I cannot speak clearly because I have not yet set my mind cast on stones, because as you know, the political sphere is very, it's too early to make a call. But right now I'm just focusing on understanding the political space and the dynamic, and talking to youth, trying to onboard them to our party and see if we can actuate that change, because sometimes we might be the necessary catalyst to prop up good leaders or prop up ourselves for leadership.
Yes.
Yes.
As we conclude, I want you to look at this camera and speak to that young man, that young girl who has lost hope, who thought that maybe the Gen Z revolution could have made life better, but they have only seen the likes of Adani coming through backdoor. They have seen Shah fail. They have seen issues to do with university education. They feel like life is coming to an end, that there is no hope. That there is no tomorrow. What would you like to speak to them? Just tell them one word, even as we move closer to the end of this year.
If you're a young person, please do not give up. It gets very, very difficult. And if you're hoping to join politics, I invite you to observe my journey. It has in no way been easy. I found myself thrust upon this. Nobody prepared me for this. There was no rehearsal. There was no workbook. But it's doable. Look at me. Nobody knew about me outside my little TikTok community and my little social media community. But now the whole nation knows me, and every step I make is taken with great scrutiny. And if there's a year I've understood, with great power comes great responsibility. It has been this year. So I invite you to help us walk along. It's possible for us to bring the change. It might not come today, and maybe we are just but the catalysts to bring the real change. Let's take political power. Let's join political parties. It is doable. I assure you that it might be difficult for now. It might seem bleak, But let us not lose our humanity. Let us not politicize issues that do not require politicization. And let us work together for the best interests of our country, upholding the dignity of each other, of human life, and its sacredness of it all, and ensuring that we work just as hard as the other human beings, onboarding each other, not having an intellectual divide, dividing ourselves according to reach, our class divide, an educational divide, just working together for the betterment of our country. And I think a change, Kenya is ripe for the change, and we are going to be at the forefront of that change.
Thank you so much, my brother.
Thank you very much, Fred.
Thank you so much.
Looking forward to having so much more of this.
Yes.
I know it has been a short time.
Yes.
But we will do this again.
Thank you so much for honoring my invitation.
Thank you very
and
much.
for such kind word,
yes.
such wonderful word. We are praying for you.
Thank
we
you.
are praying for you. And
I
God
really
will keep you.
appreciate it. Amen.
Thank you so much, my brother. It has been your people's bench. That was good. That was very informative. That was very educative. That was very inspiring. I mean, having you on the bench tonight, speaking to us, speaking to Kenyans, and trying to give them direction, trying to inspire them. I think that was good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It has been your show, The People's Bench, where we bring it the way it is. And tonight, Kasmuel Marco Ure, the Gen Z leader, has brought it. He has said it the way it is. We do it again next time. Remember, we have been coming to you right from here, Game Suits in Riverside. And you can see, as I always say, you can see, my brother, the place is so nice.
It's beautiful. Somebody told you I was from the lakeside, so you brought for me a little lake.
I wanted to bring the lake.
This is very kind of you, sir.
Yes. Thank you so much. We do it again next time.
Yes.
Say hi to Baba.
I shall.
Yes, tell him Fred I said that.
Certainly. I shall pass your regards.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
We appreciate it.
Asante.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.